Talk about hitting the new year with in full force. We've got in studio today Coach Tom, part of the Musashi team now.
The man, the myth, the legend.
I know. Tom Baulch from Prime Training. Give us a bit of background on your credentials, mate, and who you are.
Well,
I know you're a TikTok sensation these days, but there's more to you than that.
Well, thanks firstly for having me on the potty. I have risen to relevance, I think is what I say. Some people say TikTok famous. I wouldn't say I'm famous yet, but I would say I am a little bit relevant on the platform. So, lucky enough to have grown a little bit of a social following through my athlete training and training some notable pro athletes, which I've been very grateful and lucky for and fortunate to do. And then I somehow got involved with Musashi. Do you want to tell the story of how I got involved with you guys?
We might keep that one. We might keep that one a secret. No,
but maybe
I'm gonna have to
I'll tell.
It's my favourite story.
Yeah, becoming TikTok famous, it's like, I don't know, it's a double-edged sword. Like, you've got all the credentials of a strength and conditioning coach, you're a nutritionist, you do train elite level athletes, and you're an elite level athlete yourself. But it's almost like when you become TikTok famous, some of those credentials sort of, I don't know, they don't disappear. Yeah, well, people don't take them into consideration or appreciate them. But you are a high-level coach. We love having you on the team. And the reason we sort of stumbled across you was I was sort of just flicking through TikTok.
So you do have TikTok?
I know, okay. Which is great. The oldest guy in the room is probably the only guy that has TikTok apart from you.
Nothing wrong with that.
Good chance to blame that on your kids.
Yeah, that was a good.
Yeah, I was just monitoring my kids on
What's
TikTok.
What's your For You page look like?
It's all strength.
We'll talk about that later.
It's mainly you, mate. So, But the main thing that sort of captured my eye was your sort of philosophy on training. And it's not a new philosophy, right? But it feels new to people who don't train that way. So your philosophy on training is train like an athlete for your sport. And this is mainly applicable to people that are playing sports, team sports, individual sports. Exactly. It's train specifically for your sport, not like a bodybuilder. And we're not saying if you want to be a bodybuilder, don't train like a bodybuilder. Exactly. If you're there to put on muscle mass and that's your goal, cool. Keep training like a bodybuilder. Exactly. But you're talking about sport-specific training, and obviously that's the topic for today.
Well, yeah, so I find a lot of the time there's a lot of people that are training like bodybuilders, but then still play. They don't have the aim of stepping on stage, but they have the aim of playing rec-level sports. And so, like, maybe if you do that, just find a happy medium so you don't get injured at the end of the day, because that's what a lot of my training is about, to find, mobility, durability, and not get injured kind of thing. And yeah, it is met with some sort of backlash because it's just different to what people have been taught originally. So they're kind of like,
people just want to be jacked and play soccer.
Yeah, exactly. Which is fine. You can do that. Like, I'm happy for you to do that. Like, get jacked, play soccer. But then, like, when you get injured, don't come crying to me that I've done a hamstring. Like, mate, do the work and, find a happy medium, do them both, I think.
If you've come from a sporting background and you're making it to the high levels of sport, it's not new.
No.
I mean, you're training like that. Sport-specific training's been around for a long, long time. I think probably more recognised by professional athletes, and especially over in America, like with the college system and all the diversity of sports over there. But yeah, it is met with some resistance. I see some of the resistance you get online, and you handle it quite well. I
do get met with a plethora of comments. Some I won't repeat on the podcast, but yeah, I guess I always try to meet it with I think if you want to be taken seriously in the industry, you have to have a professional tone in everything that you do, and every response has to be professional. So even when I do get met with that kind of backlash, I just push it to the side and just say,
you do well.
All good.
That was one of the things when we were first sort of interested in working with Tom, I put out a few troll comments on his on one of his posts, and he actually handled it really well. And I was impressed by the way he handled trolls and continue to handle sort of trolls on there.
I think I remember, if I remember it rightly, I think it was something to do with a squat.
Yeah.
Doing a half squat or a quarter squat, and it was something like, this is terrible. This is no good. What are you doing? And I've gone to this.
It's the most common thing people comment on is
And-
like squat
And
depth.
I get like 1,000 comments. Like I'll wake up some days to over 1,000 comments, and I'll go through a lot of them. And sometimes I'll respond. And lucky enough, I did respond to yours. I said, just go out, try it, and see if you enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, all good. But if you enjoy it, give it a go.
You won me over.
Yeah.
I was already won over, but it was a good test on Tom. Why do you think people are so resistant to that style of training? Is it because like all they know is like men's health routines or
Yeah.
or routines that their friends are doing in the gym?
Yeah.
It's just knowledge.
I think it's actually unbelievable to most people that everyone should have, like, everybody's different, right? Like every single person, you've all got different genetics, you've got different bodies, you're playing different sports, you're sitting more, standing more during the day, whatever you're doing. And it's unbelievable to people that everyone should have their own personalized program. Like every single person should have a different program. No one should be running the exact same program. So I think that, a lot of people do get confused and put off by having a personalized program and a different program that suits their needs. They think it's impossible. Everyone should be doing those men's health magazines. It's the same. I got ripped in 12 days, I got shredded abs in 12 days kind of thing. So
I think it's because like a lot of the sport specific training, some of the movements are very different, and it is just education based. Like it is hard to go and implement a training program with some of those specific movements if you're not familiar with them.
It can be almost intimidating for a lot of people, to start doing some of those movements because they look hard, but if you do them correctly, they can have massive benefits.
And at the end of the day, I think a lot of people are confused about not isolating muscles because that's all they've ever done. And then I'm like, in sport, we never isolate muscles. We're always moving, transitioning. We've got that kinetic chain that's working. So our whole back, we've got, that power that we've got to take from like our feet all the way through to our hand, like that kind of stuff. And they're like, why are we combining all these exercises together? It doesn't make sense. Like, but that's how we play sport. We move simultaneously and we move around. Like we've got to run, rotate, all that sort of stuff. Whatever sport you play, you're always rotating kind of thing. So, a lot of people get very confused about that. Sort of stuff.
I don't know any sport where you're sort of just working sort of unilaterally, isolated movement,
So you mean bicep curls aren't going to make me shoot a basketball better?
We just find, like, I do bicep curls all the time. Like, it's good to, like, we love ourselves. You got to go and do bicep curls every now and then, but it just, you don't make it you don't go to the gym and start doing biceps, triceps at the start. Wait to the end and then reward yourself with that sort of stuff at the end, or do it on a single leg or something to add in a little bit of a balance element or something a bit different.
Arms for dessert.
Arms for dessert, exactly. I like to reward myself with something fun at the end, so I'll just go do some bicep curls, lateral raises at the end.
Yeah, and look, there is times within sport-specific training that hypertrophy might be a goal.
Exactly.
So you might implement sort of bodybuilding style routines or exercises. So we're not sort of saying don't ever train like that. It's just part of a periodized program.
Exactly. I think that when I try and structure a program, the key is always obviously what the athlete's goals is, and usually the athlete is like, I want to build muscle, or I want to lose fat, but generally their goal should always be to stay on park for the longest, stay on the field for the longest, stay on the court for the longest. That should be their number one goal. So always make mobility the most important, and then probably the second thing you have is muscle building and hypertrophy will probably be the second one, because you get a lot of young athletes coming to me asking for programs. So I'll usually be like a mobility, and then something like a muscle building, and then lifting your own weight, so like chin ups and dips and stuff. I think that's really, really important to have body weight strength, some rotation, some reactions, some balance, that kind of thing. Like that's kind of how I try to structure it, because there's so many aspects of sport, I guess, in the end, isn't there?
That's a good point. Training for your sport. You think of a lot of guys, right? The last time they ran 100 meters or did anything athletic is probably like high school, right? And most people go to the gym alongside their sport. So, they train and they play sport. But why not train for your sport? It makes...
just do both.
It's the logical thing to do.
It's so logical. And then people get injured and they come to me, they're like, why am I doing a hamstring? Why am I Achilles sore? Bro, like, you haven't done anything to like help you be prepared to go and run 100 meters or go and prepare you to play soccer. Like, you can be jacked as hell and then just go and really struggle with it. So
bodybuilding training makes zero sense for a sport. Like if you're think of just like doing a leg day, right? How much you smash your legs on a leg day, the amount of volume you put out, the amount of weight you put out, and then go try run around efficiently on the weekend and perform at your best. It is not possible.
It's so hard. Yeah. And I get so many people come to me as well and ask, they're like, what exercises in the gym can I do to sprint faster? Or what exercise can I do to jump higher? I'm like, go and sprint.
Yeah.
Go and jump.
Jump.
Like,
Yeah.
like that's what you got to do. Like,
Yeah.
don't come to me asking for more exercises. Like, there at the end of the day, if you want to get faster at sprinter, you want to be a better jumper, go and jump, go and sprint, go and move, like get outside kind of thing. Don't get too, one-dimensional tunnel vision of just staying in the gym. There's so many aspects to it that you should be doing to make yourself better at that. Just do the thing.
There is, some carryover from like squats to jumping.
Of course,
and things,
yeah.
Like people get carried away with the
and then they never go
and,
jump.
Yeah,
They're like,
and
oh,
forget,
goes,
the goal or what they're actually trying to achieve with these exercises.
Yeah. Look, makes complete sense. And I think we mentioned in the last podcast, you've actually written sport-specific training programs for sort of 7 of our core sports, which we'll be launching, I think, next month, which we're super pumped about. And you've done video instructionals on each of the exercises. So I think there's going to be a lot of people out there that sort of appreciate a program laid out for them with all the exercises sort of videoed and showing them how to do it. You're probably losing a whole heap of business by doing that, but no. But I think, there's going to be a lot of sports people that have that sort of all-in-one solution that'll be really happy. When it comes to volume, I'm always interested in this. Say in season.
Yep.
You're sort of in season at the moment. You're playing. How often are you training sort of strength and conditioning throughout the week to play on the weekend?
So let's say most sports we play on a Saturday, right? Let's say for that's our example. Sunday, we'll go through a week. So a quick week would look something like a Sunday is going to be your recovery day, mobility. If you want to go to the gym, go do some stretches, some very, very light weights. Then on a Monday, I'll do a leg day, get your legs done, sort that first. That's usually what I'll do, a leg focus kind of day. Then Tuesday, you've usually got training. So you're doing skills kind of thing, running around, whatever sport you play. If it's rugby, soccer, AFL, you're always probably running around. Then Wednesday would be more of an upper body kind of based day. Thursday, you probably got training again. And then Friday is probably going to be something like a light day, maybe something power based. You might do some like wall ball throws, something like that, some med ball slams.
Something that's not going to physically drain you too.
Yeah, because you got to play tomorrow, but it's just priming your body, getting yourself ready for tomorrow. Maybe do a bit of skills, some handballs or some kicks against the wall or something just to get your mind in the game. Big spaghetti bolognese before the game, and then go out and play on Saturday. That's my pre-game. Usually, that's kind of how a week would look, and even for AFL players and stuff like that as well. That's what most of my pro athletes look like.
So outside of your team training, there might be 2.5 days of sort of of training.
And I think that the most important thing that people don't, they always come to me and ask me, they're like, what should a training week look like? Listen to your body. On a Friday, if your body's stuffed, you're feeling a bit sore, don't go to the gym.
Yeah.
Like on Sunday, if your body's stuffed, you're feeling really sore after your game, don't need to go to the gym. Like, just chill out and rest. Like, you're playing a high intensity sport. Your legs are going to be stuffed. Go to the beach or something. Get some magnesium bath, something like that. Like, it's pretty self-explanatory. If you just listen to your body, you'll reduce your injuries by so much if you can kind of listen to what your body's telling you.
Yeah. For recovery, it's an interesting point. Like after the game, like on a Sunday, what sort of things do you do for recovery? You still trying to stay active and move a bit?
100%. Yep. I think the most important thing is on a Sunday, people don't understand how much your body needs protein and carbs. Like you need to just smash that. Like you need to eat as much as you possibly can on a Sunday until your body feels like it's responding and you've done the work. Usually after the game, I love an ice bath. Some people say don't do it. Some people do it.
I think after a game, an ice bath is spot on. I think after like a heavy weight session or something, maybe wait till later in the day or leave it to the next day. But ice baths are interesting to me. I've just bought one for home.
Oh,
I've got
really?
one of
Nice.
those little Pekin inflatable ones. So.
Sick.
Yeah, I'm
Have you used it yet or
polarizing
not?
topic.
It is, isn't it?
It rocked
Yeah.
up yesterday, so I love ice baths and I've done them for a while. But
Yeah, we jumped in one together actually
at the fitness show.
At the fitness show. It was,
Don't tell me that.
fully clothed. Well,
Yeah,
fully
well,
clothed.
Dhiren was fully clothed.
In your budgies.
I struggled in that ice bath. I wouldn't even call it a bath. I would just call it ice. That's what we hopped into. There was no water, and Dhiren went full zen. He
Really?
For a second though, I thought he'd passed out, but he sat in, closed his eyes, and he just sunk in, and he's just
I was
like.
actually
Did you go
dead.
full under? Did you go full body under?
We did in
we
the
did,
end.
yeah.
Yeah. But I was, when I first hopped in, I was looking at the guy that was sort of guiding us through it, and he's just like, breathe. I'm like, mate, get me out of here. But we got through it, didn't we?
Yeah, no, it was pretty good. But I think, ice baths make a massive difference to your recovery, especially after a game, I think. That's probably the key. The key time to use it,
Would you do it after like a powerlifting?
I used to after like a powerlifting meet, but after powerlifting training, the one thing about ice baths is it does kind of hamper that stress from a workout. So that's actually what you're trying to get sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So like I wouldn't recommend doing it during a week probably, but after a really big session or a game or something, I would recommend doing it.
But maybe after a game or after a leg session, the following day after a leg session or something like that. So
exactly.
Any other recovery techniques? Are you into like all your foam rollers and your massage
foam
guns?
Rollers, of course. I love something that isn't talked about that much is fascia release. So that's kind of like fascia is obviously what encapsulates all your muscles. It's all around you, and that's all about getting that kind of slide and glide mobility through that. Getting hydration into your fascia is really, really important as well. So getting that water in, so key. Like I'll drink 4 liters a day.
What do you do for some fascia release?
Fascia release can either be on a foam roller, which is really, really important. You just do a couple of rolls, get that mobility back, and then also get that hydration, lubrication through those joints and through that fascia. And then just kind of doing like dynamic stretches as well is really important, just really small movements. So fascia doesn't like to be like pulled really hard, and neither do muscles. Muscles don't like to be pulled really hard. It's just those small slide and glide movements that will get that more movement through.
It's more dynamic style.
Exactly, more dynamic. And nothing too big, like don't go like massive rotations and stuff. Slow, slide and glide, let the muscles do their thing. Like you'll find a lot of the time people have a sore hamstring and then they go and stretch it. Like think about what a hamstring's doing. It's already tight. Stretching it's not going to help it. You just need to kind of move it, mobilize a little bit, get it on a roller, start to get some hydration through it, get water back into it.
And
my personal favorite is the lacrosse ball for some.
That hurts on your back or something on the lats. Oof.
Dhiren's a bit of a sadist. He likes pain. So.
Powerlifting back
no
there.
Pain,
That's
no
right.
gain.
So we talked about recovery. What about prior to workouts and games? So prior to a workout, obviously warm up, sport specific style training requires a good warm up, right?
100%.
So what are you doing to sort of prime? We've used the word prime a lot today in this podcast. I've noticed. Yeah, prime training. Subtle plug.
Make sure you follow prime training.
What are you doing to warm yourself up?
So before a game, something that I really like to do, obviously warm up, get the body ready, a little bit of a foam roll, that sort of stuff. Really important just to get the blood flow going through all of your muscles. And something that I also really like to do before a game or before a big session is caffeine. Now, caffeine's actually really key because what it actually does is it masks the feeling of fatigue.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't understand, like, having a bit of pre-workout before a game or before a session, like there's actually a reason and a science behind that. I just don't do it just to get the tingles or something. Like there's actually science behind why we do it. Like you'll go out and you'll feel much better if you have a bit of caffeine.
Caffeine's a huge performance enhancer, and I think the most
should be
people
banned. It's actually that good. Like
it used to be banned.
Yeah, it should be banned because I think there's a limit of how much you can have.
There is.
I don't know. I think it's like 300 milligrams or something, but it should be banned because it's actually so fantastic.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I think a lot of people push back on caffeine before more endurance-based sports because of sort of the
peaking too early almost.
Peaking too early, and also like the sort of myth that it's going to dehydrate you for the game. I mean, if you're well hydrated, having some caffeine before a 1 hour game or whatever is not going to do anything. Like it's the performance benefits are far going to outweigh.
Exactly. And yes, there's so many elite athletes that we know use caffeine before their games, and it's a weird stigma that people just think, oh, coffee's bad for me. But
I know it's like it's met with such backlash, and I'm kind of confused by why it would be, because once you try it, you're like, this is fantastic. This is really, really good. I love the grape flavor as well. That's my favorite Musashi flavor. It tastes like Hubba Bubba. I love it.
Yeah, most of our athletes, I mean, when we were working with the Melbourne Storm, they were all using pre-workout prior to a game, which has got a high amount of caffeine. Rob Whittaker, I don't think he'll mind me saying he uses pre-workouts prior to his big training sessions and also before his fights.
Yep.
I know you're sort of into the energy drink cans these days.
I'm
the new
into
Musashi
energy drink cans at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm loving them. I like the blue. The blue is my go.
Blue raspberry,
I'm loving the blue raz.
I'm more of a purple guy.
You're a favorite.
I like the elusive fruit crush that no one can find in many stores.
Because you've got them all at your house. That's why. You have them all at your house.
So that's warm up. Do you have any like pre-game rituals?
Oh,
Like superstitious style things?
well, caffeine's one of them. I have to have that before a game.
We should
Spank
probably tell
ball.
people you play AFL.
Yeah, so I
That's
played,
your
played a
sport
bit
of
of
choice.
AFL.
Yeah.
Lucky enough to play VFL. I played Waffle. I played NEFL. Just playing the NTFL. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Let's talk about that now. So how is it that you play for all these teams all across the country? Like you how does that work?
Yeah, so I basically lucky enough to I've always been a bit of a nomad, so I kind of travel around a little bit anyway, and for work and clients and stuff, like I've got different clients, pro athletes in many different cities, so I kind of go around and check them out, make sure they're doing all good, and then I'm lucky enough, I play in the Darwin League on the weekends, and they actually fly me up for the weekend and pay for flights and accommodation and everything. Which is
Not
just,
anymore, but...
Well, not anymore, because we've just finished the season.
Oh,
It was actually
okay.
last game of the season just on the weekend.
Tell us the
anything
story.
interesting happened?
Yeah. I'm sure
You
a
just
whole
gotta
heap
get
of your...
brought up.
this is going to go viral on TikTok. Hi, TikTok world. Now I'm TikTok famous. Tell us the
You
story
need it.
from the weekend, Tom. So last game of the season, you're playing in Darwin.
Last game of the
You're
season.
playing in extreme 40-degree
40
heat.
degree heat.
You
I am.
guys, your team's sort of getting done.
So because of my small following on
Small
social
following,
media, I do get a little bit of stick from the crowd, or sometimes it's support, sometimes it's just taking the mickey. But during the game, some people were running out in the field, taking photos with me and trying to hand me beers and stuff.
How does the team respond to that?
Well,
Because it's like you're this I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
It'd be weird.
Yeah.
I would find
But
it
I
weird
can't
playing
do
with,
any-
like
yeah.
if you're in my
It's
team
like
and that
playing-
shit was happening, I'd be
Playing
like,
with Ronaldo, you know?
yeah,
it is like, that's why I feel like a bit of a diva out there. Like I'm running
Yeah,
around
yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm kind of like.
But you want to have some fun with the crowd too, right?
Yeah.
Like these local, and they would love that up
Yeah.
there. Like the interaction with players, and that's what.
Like, do you
people
remember
are
when
there.
you were a kid going to sport and like even no matter what league you were playing in, like, but I would idolize who was playing out
Mate,
there.
and this is probably, you guys probably won't recognize the games. When I was a kid, I was a mad cricketer, right? I went and saw like a lot of high level guys play in sort of exhibition style matches, and I remember there was an Australian cricketer named Greg Matthews. He's
Yes.
probably more famous
Yeah.
for his hair transplant ads than he was for his cricket. But he was a real character, and we were just sort of sitting on the sideline, and he was fielding out in the deep. And all of a sudden he looks over at me, he goes, "Hey, come over here." He showed me this split that he had in his pants. He goes, "I have to go change my pants. Can you come out and field for me?" I was a kid at the time, yeah.
Hey, what?
First thing that happened, boom, batsman hooks it straight down my way. There I am charging
No
in as a
way.
kid, yeah. So it was a pretty awesome experience, but that crowd interaction, and especially at sort of that level,
Yeah.
I think that sort of stuff's okay.
Yeah.
If they're constantly running on the field and sort of upsetting the flow of the game, it becomes a
Yeah.
problem. But where did it become a problem for you?
Where
on the
did they
weekend?
cross the line?
Well, it became a problem when I was, I was all good taking photos, and then they kept offering beers and said, no, all good. I'm not thirsty yet. But by the last quarter, we were getting beaten by about 80 to 100 points. So, and there was about 5 minutes to go. It was pretty much the end of the game, and opposition had kicked a goal, and I'm playing full forward, and they one of the blokes runs onto the field and says, "Hey, I have a sip." And I have a little bit of a sip. I don't know if I actually drank any.
I saw it on film. It was if you could even call it a sip.
No, it was
like-
weak. And
yeah.
someone commented, they said you should have drunk the whole thing. And by the end of it, I was like, I probably should have, considering the punishment that I got. So I ended up got videoed and got circulated around social media, and and then I got a call from the.
You
NTFL.
circulated around social media. No, you
Well,
didn't.
there was
No, it
everybody
got
said-
out. So
yeah.
you had to tell
And
your
I-
side of the story.
Yeah, so and I got a call, and anyway, I've got a meeting with the tribunal and all this sort of stuff. And
So have you had that meeting?
So yeah, we had that meeting, and the tribunal. You only go to the tribunal if you've done something really bad. Like,
Yeah.
it's like
I've been to
it's like
tribunals a few times in
eye-gouging,
my-
Yeah, it's like abusing umpires, like
Yeah, yep.
spitting on players, like
Ooh,
pretty
no, I haven't been
like
there.
pretty bad thing.
Yeah.
And then for me, it's like having a bit of fun with a crowd member, and anyway, brought it out, had a little bit of swig, and ended up being it was a 6-week suspension. I got it down to 2 weeks. So
Pretty good outcome.
yeah, they didn't want it to ruin my down south football because it carries over the suspension. So I've
Yep.
never been suspended for anything before, and never even I'm pretty soft. Like I'm not going to go around hitting people and stuff. Like I'm not that kind of person.
No,
So
you're a very fair guy.
I
and-
try to play fair. So anyway, so that
do you,
was.
do you think It was an overreaction.
You asked that.
He's been asking. He's been waiting to ask that for ages.
I can see why. Like, it's sort of, they need to take that sort of stand. Otherwise, it's just going to happen every weekend, right?
Yeah.
But I can tell you right now, at local community level sport, like even like in grade cricket, they've got beers behind the stumps and all this sort of stuff.
Well,
so but the level that you're playing, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a misdemeanor. Like, I understand and I get it. And if I knew the consequences, I wouldn't ever do it again. But at the end of the day, I was just trying to engage with the crowd and get them to have a bit of fun with it. And I was just trying to have a bit of fun with my footy. Like, I love my teammates. I love footy. And I just, didn't want to overstep the mark, but unfortunately I did.
Well, even Ash Barty after the tennis, you know, she had a sip of beer
She got
after
blasted.
the game, and she got blasted for it.
She got blasted.
Yeah, which is crazy. You know, like, it's sort of in the Aussie spirit. She's not going out and getting blind and stumbling around the streets.
No.
She has a quick beer after winning the Australian Open. Like,
Not allowed. What the hell?
Insane.
Crazy. Nah, yeah. Anyway, so that were my misdemeanors, and I won't be doing that anytime. So again,
have like going back prior to playing sort of high level AFL? Have you ever trained like a bodybuilder?
Yeah. So this is actually a really good question because this is kind of how I got all into it. So I actually began training as a bodybuilder. I was just doing squats, deadlifts, all that sort of stuff. And then I broke my leg really, really badly when I was like 16. It really affected my sport and everything like that. So, yeah, unfortunately that happened. I was going up for a mark and I landed and I came down and I didn't know where the ground was and I've gone just really badly twisted my ankle. So that was something that happened and I was a bit affected by that. And then I kept getting injuries, hamstrings, quads from that. And I realized I had to change what I was doing when I was about 18.
So it was injuries that made you sort of change your mindset.
Exactly. And when I'm playing a sport like AFL and I'm jumping and I'm landing, soccer as well, jumping, landing, that sort of stuff, you need to be able to teach yourself how to land. You need to know where the ground is. You need to land all those sort of mechanics that you have with sport.
And then throw sort of other players into the mix, pushing you off balance
Exactly. So that's kind of how I got into it, and then started training like an athlete. So I guess that's a bit of the backstory with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a big theme from your training is injury prevention.
Exactly.
Right. And you know, if you're not familiar with these movements, your body's not familiar with it, your mind doesn't have these motor connections and stuff, then you're just setting yourself up for injury. So.
And people get so confused. They're like, why are you practicing to land and stuff? I'm like, because it's what you do in sport. Like, it's what you're doing the whole time. You're jumping, landing, twisting, turning. And people get so confused what. And sometimes I just have to explain to them. Once I do, they get the message and they really start to understand because it's self-explanatory, really.
Yeah. I think for any sport-specific training, I think initially, like, I know we've sort of laid out some programs, but I think initially it is good to sort of get a qualified coach in 100%. To help you with it and just understand the movements properly. And there's even some exercises where you might need assistance.
Exactly.
Like using your example before, like jumping to take a mark, for example, quite often you're never jumping to take a mark with no one around you. It's generally someone there sort of tussling with you, pushing you off balance. You're jumping, someone else is jumping that sort of pushes you away and you're landing in this sort of awkward position. So
my favorite exercise is I'll jump up and then I'll get a partner with a Swiss ball to push me and then I have to try and land on one leg. It's a really good exercise that mimics jumping and landing, soccer, AFL, all that sort of stuff. Fantastic exercise.
Yeah. And previously on this podcast, we used to always talk about, there's different spots have a different blend between skills, physical and mental, right? But even in the physical side, that doesn't mean more muscle to perform better.
No.
It means, being the best adapted to your sport.
Exactly. Moving efficiently, moving effectively. That's the key, isn't it? And if people always how do I become more athletic? You've got to move. You've got to keep moving. You've got to keep running, sprinting, jumping, all that sort of stuff. That's when people think, oh, he's an athlete, kind of thing. So,
and look, if you are one of those guys that plays team sports, you do love your bodybuilding program. You're doing it a bit for vanity as well as sort of staying fit for your sport. Just start to incorporate 1 to 2 exercises into your routine. See how it goes, see how they feel, and then as you become more comfortable, add more over time. I mean, you don't have to go straight from a bodybuild, abandon everything to go straight into a sport-specific program. Ease into it. But I guess the message for today is if you are playing a sport, train specifically for that sport.
Perfect. I couldn't agree more. And make sure you go check out those programs because they are all perfect for an athlete that's trying to play sport, and you can incorporate other movements and exercises around that as well, like whatever makes you guys happy, I think, at the end of the day.
Yeah, so Tom has written programs for all those core sports for off-season, pre-season, during season, so encourage you to check those out. If anyone wants to sort of find you, not that they need to, you're everywhere, but where's the place to look for you? You've now got your own podcast?
Yeah, so we've got our own podcast. The Primecast is actually what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Train Like
Looking
an Athlete
forward
podcast.
to appear on that soon.
Yes, you will be. You will be soon. We could do one after, actually. Do 2 in 1. But
change the T-shirt.
Change the T-shirt. Also in the bag. Or you can find me on TikTok at Prime Train. On Instagram at Prime Train. If you want to get in contact with me and message me and ask about anything, then just go and message me on Prime Train.
You're pretty
on
approachable
Instagram.
guy. You try to answer a lot of people's questions online.
Hugely knowledgeable.
But I would encourage...
knows this stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You are based sort of in Queensland?
Yes, I am based in Noosa in Queensland, and I do most of my programs online, which I'm lucky enough to do, which gives me the opportunity to travel and work mostly and more closely with my pro athletes that are kind of based around Australia. And then I've got some in America and playing D1 basketball and soccer and stuff over there as well. So, doing a little bit of travel, but trying to keep it in Australia as much as I can, especially when the sun's out.
Yeah. Well, look, the advantage of being online is anyone, anywhere can sort of reach out to you.
Exactly.
Do you work with sort of just everyday athletes as well? You're happy to help out and program
100%. 100%. Whoever wants it, needs it. I've even traveling to Melbourne tomorrow or today, and I'm helping out some athletes over the weekend, doing a little footy clinic with them, which should be good. So,
What are you doing tomorrow?
I'll be in Melbourne.
I'll be in Melbourne tomorrow, where we're doing a shoot with Ellie Blackburn for the Western Bulldogs.
For the Bulldogs, nice. Yeah. I'm training with Tom Mitchell and the Hawks over the weekend, so I'll hopefully I'll probably get absolutely shown up by him, but we'll see how we go. See how we go. Try to hold my own.
Yeah, cool. Well, mate, thank you for taking the time to jump on the podcast today. We've enjoyed having you. We love working with you, and hopefully we're going to work with you for a long time. So. Anything else, Dhiren, to close off? Have you got a Miyamoto Musashi quote?
I'd say
Dhiren usually finishes the podcast with a quote from Miyamoto Musashi.
Oh, good.
And then
Okay, so
shoot.
Do you know who Miyamoto is? He's
Yep.
the greatest samurai of all time, right?
Of course.
So,
second greatest. Dhiren's the greatest.
from his book of strategy, right? So, whatever the way, the master of strategy does not appear fast. Of course, slowness is bad. Really skillful people never get out of time and are always deliberate and never appear busy.
Wow.
That relates to today's topic nicely.
Fantastic.
There you go.
So,
I can't figure out how it relates, but I'm sure it does. No.
Someone will.
Sleep over it.
yeah. Play it back.
Sleep over it.
Anyone wants to check out anything Musashi related, Musashi.com, flick us. We're on YouTube, all available podcasts, and flick us a message if you've got any sort of questions or
keep an eye out for those sport-specific programs coming up soon.
Coming out sort of mid-March, so I'm sure we'll push them again, and you guys will know exactly where to find them. So,
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Cool. Appreciate you coming here.
Musashi out.
Out.